Hello and welcome to the TGA Pristine podcast, where we discuss everything from the trading card community to the company itself that grades your favorite collectible cardboard. Grab your sleeves and top loaders, it's time to rip into the show. And welcome back to the TGA Pristine podcast, everybody. I'm Darkest Night.
And I'm Quick Trigger.
And want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Pristine podcast. Sorry there was no update stream last week. Ryan was feeling a bit under the weather, and so I just wanted him to, get his voice feeling well and get his body feeling well before we started another one. So, we had a little break, a little hiatus in between the week, and we really appreciate everybody continuing to tune in and listen. We really do appreciate it. And in this episode, it's going to be a real fun one for us because we are going to be discussing current anime that we are watching and previous ones that we have seen and discussing them and talking about them and, whether we recommend them or not, whether we think they're overrated, underrated, fairly rated, and, wanting to branch out to people that potentially haven't seen anime before, the ones that have. We want to, just discuss and see what you guys have to say as well. Is we're pretty big advocates. We haven't gotten into anime aside from, I guess, since college, we were really getting into it and being exposed to a lot of different shows and content and movies. And so it's something that we're very passionate about. So we would very much love to share that with all the listeners for the podcast and maybe broaden your horizons a little bit, because there are a lot of awesome trading cards to go with anime that we had discussed previous with Weiss Schwartz specifically. They have a lot of really great anime sets, and a lot of other cards have their own exclusive CCGs, and so it's really cool to watch the shows and then look up all these different cards and collect them and kind of be attached to that as well. And so, yeah, we definitely just wanted to discuss some of our favorite shows, some that we've seen, maybe some that we're not too hot on, but we invested too much time in, so we really want to just get it out there off our chest. But yeah, we wanted to start off first with Demon Slayer. This is one that Ryan had introduced to me a couple years back whenever it was coming out, and I'm very glad he did. This show is it lives up to the hype, absolutely. This only has 3 seasons out right now. The third one is currently ongoing. It has the 6th episode out as of this past Sunday. And there can be 11 total in this season. And each season has a movie in between to help transition from the previous arc to the next. And they're all they're all canon. They're all a part of the show. So you don't have to feel bad about, watching it and then it kind of being a waste that you didn't even have to see it, like a lot of anime movies are. These are all connected within the manga. And the show is, it's pretty standard, by the book shonen. The story is nothing super complex, but it's just so very effective. The characters are very likable and easy to get attached to. They have their own very unique set of characteristics and personalities. The main character, Tanjiro, is very likable, just like any other shonen main protagonist. You always just have this warm feeling in your heart whenever he's on screen and, fighting for the good cause and for his family. And it's just such a really great show. And it's fast paced, unlike what some people may say, which is insane. The show is quick to the point. It doesn't really beat around the bush all that much. There's not really any filler, really, that I can think of within the 50 episodes it has so far in the 2 movies. It's very to the point that I may have said earlier already. It's just a really good show overall, and I've definitely already put it in my top S tier arsenal of animes of all time that I've seen. But I'll let Ryan kind of talk about it a little bit, because I know this is a big one for him as well.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to touch on, so again, guys, I want to apologize that there was no episode last week. I was feeling under the weather. I'm feeling much better now. So thankful that, we were able to take a week off and just kind of get me feeling good and stuff. Because you guys wouldn't have wanted to hear me talk last week because it was rough. Like, my nose was stuffy. My throat was, like, always, like, scratchy and, like, always coughing. It would have been rough. I would have been sitting there trying to have to, like, mute my mic all the time. And I wouldn't have sounded good. I wasn't feeling good, so I'm glad I'm feeling better now. We can get back to creating these weekly episodes for you guys, for those that tune in and listen. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, getting back to Jordan's point with Demon Slayer, I watched the show when it first released in 2019. I was actually out on a work trip. I was in a hotel, and I was scrolling because I think I had Netflix at the time, and I was just like scrolling through and like, let me see like what kind of shows on. And I think I had heard about Demon Slayer, and I was like, oh yeah, I heard about this anime. It's like kind of brand new. Like I might want to check it out. And I know it was kind of late at night, and we had like a really long day, and so I was already feeling kind of tired. Like let me just put it on, and like see what's up with the first episode. And the very like the like the first like 5 or so minutes of the show is kind of like a little bit slow getting into it, but then like once like it gets into like going toward like the like a little bit past that, like it's like where it really kicks in. I don't want to try to like spoil too much with like the show in case like anybody hasn't seen it and they want to just get into it, but it's very very traumatic in the first episode. It like really draws you into the story and like gets you right on board with like what's going on, like who the characters are, like what the preface of the show is. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of action. The art style is beautiful. I mean, everything about the show is amazing. You're obviously going to have your sticklers of just saying like, oh, subbed is way better than dubbed. Like, how could you watch this show and dub? It sounds so goofy and like blah blah blah. And which like to an extent, there are sometimes certain characters that like don't really pull off the same emotional effect as like the sub voice actors do. But then there are other times when I've heard people say that the dub voice actors do certain parts like way better than sub. So it kind of goes like hand in hand. Like it goes back and forth with like some of the actors doing a little bit of a better job in certain scenes than others. But overall, I do enjoy both. If you are keen to either watching the show dub or sub, I will say that watching it either way for this one specifically is good. All the voice actors across the board do very well with their characters. Whether they're doing like a calm line or if they're like in like a fighting scene, they're being like very intense, emotional. All of the voice actors do very well with keying in on the proper moments and stuff with their characters. But yeah, like I mean, just one of the things that really has bothered me over the course of watching this show is the fact that people like I did see someone mention recently that they said the show is too slow to get into, which is kind of surprising to me considering it's one of the newer like animes. So it's like the seasons aren't that long, and there literally is like no filler. Like there's no beat around the bush when it comes to like what's going on. Like it's straight canon, straight plot from the manga like all the way through. Yeah, they'll add in like extra features and stuff that the manga didn't show, but that's just because that's just for the that's for the people that want to watch the anime. That you watch it for all the great extra scenes that they throw in there to show you like that amazing animation detail. And it could like really help like draw in the effect of like certain aspects of the show. So I mean, it's just amazing. Like the story is really touching. It's very personal. Like, so I feel like a big reason why a lot of people wouldn't be so much attached to the show is if they don't have like a personal attachment to anything that goes on in the show. Like if you've never like one of the things the show really prefaces on is like loss, like is like losing a loved one, losing family members. Like if you've never really experienced that in your life before, it may be a little bit hard to like really grasp like what's going on and like really get into the mode of like, okay, like this just happened. It's like it's serious now. Like like these people are dying. Like whatever it is. Like I feel like if people have not really experienced like true loss, like people that lose like a grandparent or you lose like a family friend or whatever it is, but if you like really lose like a sibling or a immediate parent in your family, that kind of stuff is like really heart-wrenching. And like when they like when they pull on those heartstrings and those moments from the show, and you can like relate those kind of things like to your real life. Maybe not like obviously exactly like what happens in the show, but just the fact of losing somebody and you relate to that so much, and like, you feel that emotion, that same pain that the character feels in the show. It like really draws you more into the story, and like how you might feel if you were placed in this position. Like, how would this make you feel? Like, what would you be wanting to do? How hard would you be willing to work to, get back at the people that wronged you? I mean, honestly, this show like just really, really does an excellent job of just like creating these high intensity moments, and like really putting the effect on like just drawing you into the story, getting you attached to the characters. Just all of the just raw emotion in this show is just absolutely amazing. And aside from one of the more like top things that people mention about this show is the animation style, because like the animation in this show is top tier, top notch. Like it's on like a pedestal when it comes to animation, like the artwork and the flow of the show, like with all the fighting moves and stuff. Like the fight scenes are absolutely amazing. All of the colors and transitions and the movement, just like the choreography with the fights is so good. Um,
Yeah, that was something I remember thinking whenever you first introduced the show to me, was that it reminded me a lot of like traditional Japanese artwork. And whenever they would do their breathing styles and with like water and fire and every other type of element and thing you can think of, it immediately just like brought me to a traditional Japanese art piece. And and they incorporate dragons and stuff as well. That's very traditional with Japan. And yeah, UFO Table just does a insanely impressive job, and it somehow keeps getting better throughout each season. Like season one was already amazing. Season two was breathtaking, especially with their big fight. And then season three has been doing nothing but improving upon that. And you can really see the hard work and dedication that those artists have put in to each and every episode. And I guess it's a good trade off though if we only get 11 episodes for like main arcs and for seasons potentially. You know that they're gonna punch out an amazing looking show, and you would definitely not leave disappointed at all.
Yeah, like my thing now is just like now I'm kind of curious with like how they're gonna flow in the other seasons. Like, is there always gonna be like some movie that's gonna happen like in between seasons and stuff? Like, they had the Mugen Train, then they had the transition from the end of season two into season three. So now I'm kind of curious with like, how many more movies are they going to come out with? Like, are they going to continue the train line of just like coming out with a movie every single time? Or was it just like this couple times, and then maybe they'll put out a movie like kind of toward the end of the show? I'm kind of curious on like where their mindset is at for. Because I'm all for more movies. Like, I will easily go to a theater and watch these movies in person, like every
Yeah, I
single
mean, it all
time.
makes sense, and especially if you look at the box office sales and ratings of Demon Slayer when it goes to theaters in not only Japan but just like worldwide, they always do very well, and it gets well received. And I mean, I would see no reason why they would stop doing that if it's been beneficial for them monetarily and with the fans. I mean, yes, I would definitely always love to go and see Demon Slayer in the theaters. That's how I do it with My Hero. Is that every time they have their movies out, like I always rush over to AMC or whoever's showing it, and really want to experience that on the big screen.
Yeah, because if there's a chance, some way, somehow, that because as Jordan referenced before, he does work in a movie theater. If there was some way that y'all ended up getting like movie promotional posters for those kind of things, like that would be absolutely amazing. Because those posters, if you guys have ever tried to find posters, like the actual like legit movie promotional posters that they have at the theaters, people sell them on eBay for like well over like $100. Like, these things go for a good bit of money. So I wouldn't even want them just for the sell factor. I would want them just so I can frame them up and then put them up in the house, because I think those would be really nice artistic pieces and stuff to have. Because I feel like those are kind of a lot more rare to find than the typical like run of the mill like movie posters that you guys get for new releases and stuff.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think yeah, touching on that with the movies, I think it would also open up a lot of room to either bring back like previous characters that didn't really get like a lot of screen time yet, because like I'm pretty sure, staying corrected, I'm pretty sure they did say the show is going to be about 5 seasons long total. So
Mm-hmm.
like this season's already halfway through. There's probably at least about 2 more seasons, and if they release movies and stuff in between, I feel like there is a lot of opportunity to include like characters that maybe only got like a little bit of screen time like in the first season. You can bring them back and have them like thrown into the story a bit more, like learn a bit more about them, how like their story is going to continue or possibly end and stuff, because we still have to learn about a few other Hashiras that we haven't seen yet in action. Like there's still Sanemi. We've learned a little bit about his backstory with Genya so far for this season. um and then the only other two, like, well, I mean, even Giyu still, like, Giyu is still kind of an unknown with like his backstory. Like, we don't really know a lot about his upbringing. Like, we don't know anything about anyone in his family. We know that he trained under Urokodaki for water breathing and stuff. So we kind of know about that, like, with him a little bit. Um, but that's pretty much it. We all really know about him. We've kind of learned a bit about all the other Hashiras. Now it's like only really Obanai and Guillaume are now the two only Hashiras that we haven't really seen much information on. Like, we've kind of just been around them a little bit, heard them kind of talk here and there. We know about like what their breathing styles are and stuff, which, like, I'm pretty sure Guillaume's is one of the more like standard like initial breathing styles of being stone. And then Obanai has like his like special like serpent breathing, which would be really cool to see in action. I like to see how like he incorporates this like snake and stuff, and um, kind of see how all that works. And like, 'cause I've heard like a lot of things from people that have read the manga. I've heard that Obanai's backstory is like possibly even more like messed up and like traumatizing than what we saw with like Genya and Sanemi's backstory when they were kids. So I'd be kind of curious to see like how all that unfolds. Um, but yeah, and then like even this season, we've only learned like a little bit about Muichiro, how he had like some accident and like it caused like his memory to be kind of foggy, which kind of explains like his like misbreathing stuff. And then we've only really learned a little bit about Mitsuri, not like a whole lot. I'm sure like in the next coming episodes, we'll probably see a little bit of backstory with her when she was younger, and kind of like what led her to want to join the Demon Slayer Corps, even though she already kind of mentioned about like a reason why she joined, but probably a little bit more motivation as to like what really made her want to get stronger. Um, if like something happened in her family, or I don't even know, but I think it would be really interesting to see how the story continues to unfold. Like what the next season is gonna like unfold, like was it like what's gonna like be in store for the next season, like if they're gonna come out with another movie. But like I said, they can come out with many movies and see every single one of them. Like, I don't even care.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and then in other news with anime, some other stuff. So I've recently been watching One Piece. I've had a friend that's been recommending it to me for a while now. Um, and he's been telling me how amazing it is, and he's watched it all the way through, and like he's caught up to date with it and everything. So he knows about like all the characters, like how their stories have unfolded up until this point in the current sequence of the show. Um, I, like I said, I've just started. I mean, I'm into like the 300s of episodes. Like I'm around like 40ish, I think, or so. That's kind of like where like the ballpark I'm at with it. Um, I'm still in like the beginning phases where I'm like not like very much attached to a lot of the characters yet, or even like some of the characters. Like there are like the few that I like. Like I like the OG characters that they've introduced, like Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp. Um, I don't like Sanji all that much. He is pretty funny, but like I haven't really grown like to like him that much. I'm not a huge fan of Chopper either. I mean, I get the appeal, but I'm not the biggest fan of him. Um, who else is there? And then we just got introduced to Brooke, and they have Frankie now, and then they have Nico Robin. So like, they have a good bit of characters on the crew now, and so I've been kind of just learning a bit about all their stories and stuff and where they come from, and there have been like a good handful of moments so far, and there's been a good bit of funny moments in the show. But obviously, I'm still kind of early on with it, so I'm not like too attached into the story yet, and I'm still kind of just learning about everybody right now. Because like I will say that like the fights. I mean, I get like the show came out a while ago, but I mean, you could say the same thing for Naruto. Like they both started around like the same point, sort of. I think Naruto started like a little bit after One Piece did, but even like when Naruto first started, like even like a lot of the fight scenes they had were like epic. Like the choreography with the fights, all the hand-to-hand combat with the ninja tools and all the jutsus and stuff. Like learning about all that was like super cool. Um, I've always been a bigger fan of like the whole ninja aspect than I have been of like the whole pirate theme stuff. So that was already kind of like hard for me to like really get into the show. And so I will say that like a lot of the fights with like One Piece have been kind of lackluster so far. I'm sure they get better like way down the road when like the animation style kind of starts picking up a bit more and like all the characters start having different kind of abilities and everything they use. But yeah, I will say that like so far in the part that I'm in with One Piece, I will say that like I have thoroughly enjoyed watching Naruto more than I have with One Piece. It has been kind of a struggle to like still kind of like keep up with it when I'm like this far into it, and I still haven't really like fully gotten engaged with being like interested in watching it. But you know, I'm sure like once I get a little bit more down the road, maybe I'll get a bit more attached to the characters, and hopefully the fights will get better. You know, it'll kind of bring me in a bit more. So it's been kind of tough for me, but I know this is just my personal preference. Like this is just my personal opinion. Other people might have already been like way attached to the show into the characters because they like the pirate theme, you know, because it's different. There hasn't really been too many animes based on like pirates and all that stuff. At least like not from my knowledge. I'm pretty sure this has been like one of the only like main you know, shonen animes like themed around pirates and stuff. So I just want Luffy to find that One Piece, man. Like knowing that it's already 1,000 and they still haven't gotten around to it. Like they've just been spending this whole time building the crew, and like now it's like where the real story. I mean, who knows when it's gonna end? Like who knows if like the creator of the show is even gonna still be around? Like all of the like people working on the show, like they may not even be around anymore by the show finishes. The story will have completely changed, and people are gonna start to hate it. Like I feel like at some point, like too many, like there's gonna be a point where it's just like so many episodes is too much. Like they've gone too far. It's been too long. Like they just need to wrap it up and just completely just end the series. People have already been calling it a masterpiece, but like it's not even finished. Like it's not even over yet, and like I don't know. It's like it's hard for me to see it right now, but I know that I've only made it like barely a quarter of the way through. Um, so, I mean, I'm hoping that it'll eventually get to a point where I'll like be really, really enjoying it. But honestly, the fact that I'm already like closing in on 400 episodes and I don't feel the same effect that I've had with other shows that I've watched has been not like the best feeling. Which I'm sure a lot of people are going to give me hate for, but it's whatever, you know, because I'm not going to sit there and say I'm gonna like every other show that everyone else does. You know, because people hate on Demon Slayer, but it's one of my favorite shows. People hate on Naruto. That's like my all-time favorite anime. So you know, it is what it is. I'm just watching it, just to please my friend that's been bragging about it forever, and just to say that like I at least attempted to watch it, even if I watch it all the way through and I just still don't really enjoy it that much. Just to know that like I actually sat through and like watched it, like knowing that I pretty much watched like the longest ongoing show that's ever been like longest ongoing anime that's probably ever been created or ever will be created. So I hope that no other person comes out with a show this long because it needs to stop.
Yeah, if you want to get into other shows that we would get hated for not being all that into like everyone else is Chainsaw Man, because I remember the hype going around for that was
Oh, dude.
incredulous, and we're like, okay, and our oldest brother Jonathan really was behind it as well and hyping it up and say, all right, well, yeah, you know, we'll definitely give it a shot, and you know, we really like anime, and we're not against picking up on anything that people are recommending to us, and like Ryan was saying, like he's watched 300 episodes of a show he doesn't like just to keep giving it a chance and seeing where it goes. So, yeah, we hadn't picked up on Chainsaw Man until about halfway through the season. So we were able to watch like the first 6 or 7 episodes, or however many there were in the season, and we had watched them all probably within like a day or two, just because you know we have work and I don't feel like sitting down for hours, and I kind of spending my only free time doing that kind of stuff. And So we had watched like the first couple episodes and then the next couple episodes afterwards, and we're kind of looking at each other like, yeah, I don't really know. Like this show is, definitely 1,000% unique, interesting, diverse. It's really creative, and the person behind it has an incredible imaginative mind. And there's definitely no doubting that. The story is its own, and it's very in its own way grounded, and it doesn't hold back, which are all pluses and good things to say about it. But that's kind of where it ends for us. Really, like we were just watching the show, and like there wasn't a whole lot for us with the characters. We weren't really getting behind all that much. Like the action was kind of okay. Like, it had good animation, but nothing that tops what we've already seen before.
Yeah, so I think like that's where it's like a show has great animation, but not like a very compelling story. Like people that say that like Demon Slayer didn't have a compelling story is just like is outrageous to me because like obviously I've watched Demon Slayer and I think otherwise completely. Like I think the complete opposite. But with like Chainsaw Man, it's like there's not really a lot to get behind with Denji. More so, it's just like obviously because he loses his dog, and then like his dog gives up his heart to keep Denji alive and stuff. So like it's obviously like the cool like relationship aspect between that, and then like feeling bad for him that his family left him with all this debt, and he's been having to like sell his organs and like do all this like crazy like job work just to try to pay off this like huge momentous debt. But as far as like a goal that he set for himself, like he really just like obviously he just wants to be like a regular guy. Like he wants to grow up and like try to be with a woman, like fall in love. Like he just wants to experience like what it's like to be in a relationship and just be with a woman like that. It's just like it's very a very common like natural goal to have, but it's not really something that like I'm really rooting for in a sense. Like I obviously yeah great I want you to grow boobs or whatever, but it's just like it's not something that I'm like really that attached to, and I don't really feel a lot of emotion when I'm watching the show. I mean, like I said, like animation is great. Like the fight sequences in the show are pretty cool with like the weapons and the abilities, and like seeing like all the different curses and stuff that people like write like essentially make contracts with, and the different kinds of spirits or whatever that they use. Um, because I like Aki a lot. Like he's probably the like most like liked character in the show. I think like collectively, he's like a pretty relatable guy too. He's a
It's
very
pretty cool.
cool, calm, collected guy. Has like cool abilities and stuff. And so, but like I just don't have a lot of it. Like because I don't like Power. I think she's annoying. I don't really like her. There's a lot of people that like her and love her or whatever. I just personally think she's annoying, and I like her voice and like her personality is just like really just over the top, and I just think it's just and like she's just another person that like there's no like dire motivation that really draws me to the characters, because like obviously like relating back to Demon Slayer, like I'm sure a lot of people thought Zenny first with all the screaming and crying and just being frantic and stuff. But then like when you learn a bit more about like his background and like all the stuff he's had to go through, struggles and everything, and then like when he has his moments of being calm and like you're able to like really like feel the vibe of like who he is and stuff, like that's why you get attached to a character like that. And then even when he has his frantic, it becomes funny and whatever it is. With like Power, it's just like she's just like a child in like a demon form, and then she just like all she wants to do is just like create blood weapons and just like whip them around and like kill people, and it's just like I'm just not that drawn to the characters. I'm not drawn to the story, and I'm not becoming attached with anybody. And then even when that forget what her name was. I think it was like Mexico. Like I don't even remember what her name
Talking
was.
about Makima.
No. The chick that with the eye patch that died.
Oh, I don't even
Um,
really remember her name.
exactly. Like I can't remember her name. But then like people were like upset like whenever she, and, like yeah, it was kind of sad whenever she died. But it was just like I wasn't gonna cry about it. Like it wasn't like something that I was like really drawn. Like we knew her for like 2 episodes, and then like that was it. Like
Yeah,
it
and
was.
and that's kind of the thing I wanted to touch on with like a lot of anime, and especially with Demon Slayer. Actually, that's kind of like a negative is that with a lot of characters and stuff whenever you get introduced to them and showing backwards. And like, sure, your every episode is only like 20 minutes long, and you need to get the plot flowing and moving. But a lot of times when you're given like backstories and you're trying to feel connected to these characters, the show will only give you 5-10 minutes max to be like, okay, yeah, here's this character and here's their backstory, and feel bad about, and their whole family's now dead, and it's like, okay, that sucks, bro, but I only knew him for like 2 minutes. I don't really feel that I don't care, like I said, it's awful, and I'm not like a heartless person or anything. I'm very compassionate, but yeah, there's a lot of times where some stories just want to get to the point, rush the plot along, rush the story. Let's just get to the point, and that's fine. But it kind of sacrifices a lot of people getting invested and truly caring and making that impact feel even harder. And I get you can really lose people if you just kind of waste time and you don't want to think of other plot points to deal with families or whatever else these people, and they're not the main character, so who cares, and as long as they know where they came from, it's cool. But
Yeah.
that is something I always kind of think about whenever you're given little character backstories and it's only like 5 minutes in an episode, and and it's cool, you get to see more where they're coming from and who they are and why they are the way they are. But it's always a bit hard to really feel truly invested when you never really got to spend a lot of time with them, and I guess it just does its point, to where you just get a little bit more connected with these side characters, but like at the end of the day, you're always focused on the MC and what their path is, and that's just something I've kind of always picked up on throughout watching anime throughout the years.
Yeah, and so going back to talking about Chainsaw Man, so like I think like a big reason why a lot of people did like Denji is just because of the fact that he does have like a more realistic goal. Like you don't have someone trying to be the Hokage, you don't have someone trying to be the Pirate King, you don't have someone trying to be the Wizard King or like whatever it is that someone's trying to achieve the highest title of like their world. Like you just have somebody like, yeah, I'm just trying to like get with a girl, like just trying to get the second base for the first time. It's like very realistic goals that you can kind of like relate to, and it's more of like you can like kind of grow a more like personal like resemblance to the character. And I'm also like still interested in Makima because like she comes off as like this all powerful woman. She has this crazy ability where she can kill people from a distance. Like she can like sacrifice one person and then like they say the name of the person she wants to kill and then they just get squished like a bug. And I'm just like, how the is she doing that? Like I just like I'm so really curious to see like how she's able to use her powers in this way, and like what devil did she sign a contract with that she's able to do this kind of thing and make her this like all powerful woman where like it seemed like she died at one point, but then all of a sudden she wasn't, and then she's just like chilling in this like area, and then she's like sacrificing people off and
Yeah,
using her
and
ability.
I think something that our oldest brother had also touched up on, and like the reason why Chainsaw Man is really popular in the States is because it's based on tropes and styled upon like movies in America. The creator of Chainsaw Man is huge on um, American movies and filmmaking, and in the intro sequence, people have pointed out that you can see a whole bunch of references
References.
to the movie posters in the intro sequence from America, and so he takes a lot of inspiration on that, especially with like the gun devil being like the main big bad so far in the show, and and it having ties with America. Guns. Everyone always thinks about America, sadly, and even just Denji himself with like the chainsaw and his powers, and so it's a very like Americanized story, and it doesn't touch on a whole lot of tropes that you'll typically find in your usual anime, which is why it doesn't sell as well in Japan, but it still does incredibly well with American audiences, because we're not really conditioned to have those kind of things to look for in anime. We just turn on a show, and if we like it, we like it, and we're not used to having that like in our culture and our content. So I definitely get that appeal and why people are enjoying it. But yeah, like overall, we think it's good. You know, it's not a bad show. We just don't. We're not obsessed with it. We don't get the incredible hype over it, and like we're not waiting at the edge of our seats for season two. But like we'll watch it, and we'll hope it's
Right.
it's
I'm
good.
I'm invested enough with still some of the mysteries of the show to like still be like I'm still like interested to know like what's gonna happen with the characters that are still a part of the show now. Like learning about more about like the gun devil that's like this all powerful devil and stuff that's out
Mm-hmm.
there. Like possibly learning a bit more about Makima and stuff, like kind of like learning a bit more about some of the other characters and just like still the mysteries that are still to unfold in the future.
Right.
Still keeps me invested enough to continue watching. Um, which I'm pretty sure I think White Schwartz is actually going to be coming out with a Chainsaw Man TCG this year.
They already have it out.
Um, oh, is it out already?
Yeah,
Okay.
at least like the Japanese set is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's
So they.
our friend had like pulled the SP Denki or Denji. Sorry,
Denji.
Denji.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. So the Japanese set is out, but I remember the English set's not going to be coming out until like a little later. Um, but yeah, so like, that's another thing. Like like a big reason why we all enjoy the animes is because we also like to try to find cards that we can collect, whether it's like official or not. Typically, most of the animes that we watch, Weiss Schwartz makes a lot of cards for that. You guys heard about us talking about with Naruto, they have like the Caillou set that comes out from China. And so like a lot of the other shows we watch with like Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, SAO. There's like multiple different card companies that make cards for them. Like they have like Weiss Schwartz, like I mentioned already. Build and Divide is another really good card company that makes like really awesome quality cards.
Yeah,
Those
because
are
I
really,
did
those
want
are really fun to
to
collect.
touch up on what you were bringing up with like Weiss Schwartz and Build and Divide, because Sword Art Online was basically my introduction to anime, and it was the first anime that me and Ryan, me and Quick Trigger had watched together, and so I have a real special place in my heart for that show, and Kirito being like the first MC to get behind, and Asuna is like this really powerful, awesome heroine in her own right, respectfully, and so yeah, we had bought into these rips on Whatnot of the Sword Art Online 10th anniversary Weiss Schwartz set, and a buddy of mine had pulled me the Lisbeth SP, and that was the first SP I had ever gotten out of Weiss Schwartz, and I was like real happy about that. And I guess she's like a top favorite of mine from the show. Sadly it wasn't Kirito, but we can't win them all, and but it was still a really great one that I'm going to get graded. And ironically, that guy's brother on Whatnot had pulled me. I think it's Mito. I always mess this up. Miko.
Yeah, Mito.
Mito. It was basically like kind of their version of SP from Build and Divide, and I had gotten like a signature card of her from his stream.
Yeah, I think it was like a DR
Yeah,
rarity.
something like that. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very similar to the White Shorts with the signed cards, and so I've been having some real good luck with those rips lately, and those cards are a whole lot of fun. I just bought today actually off of eBay a CGC Pristine 10 Kirito double rare, and that one is going to be super awesome going into my Kirito collection, and starting to build that up now. But yeah, like, oh, I guess I want to touch upon Sword Art as well, because since that was my first introduction to anime, and that's another show that kind of doesn't beat around the bush. It gets very to the point, sticking to the plot, very very quick, and doesn't pull any punches. Sadly, because like the first game that you're in within the show is easily the best one. It's the main plot. That's the first plot of the story, and it's like a huge thing to get through and to beat the game. And the writer was a part of a writing contest at the time when he was coming up with Sword Art Online, and they had like a page limit for the contest, and so he had to write the story and condense it, and make it quick and easy to digest and for the contest. And even then, the abridged version that he wrote, they even still said at that point that it was too long, so he had to cut it down even more. And so whenever it got adapted into manga, that's why the story was as short as it was for the first season. And it's a bit of a shame because I would have loved to have watched a long running series of the show, and see them getting through all the different levels and defeating all the bosses. And it's really awesome, really cool plot. And again, like nothing crazily imaginative, but it's very complex enough for you to feel invested in and watch every episode, and see what kind of adventures they go on, and see what different bosses there are for each floor of the game. And and the big take on the show is if you die in the game, then you die in real life. It's like a virtual MMORPG, and so like the whole time you're watching the characters like playing a video game, but like it's them. It's really them in this like VR experience basically, and it's a super cool. I really like the show a lot. Some really great characters, and the only downside is that it gets concluded pretty quickly within the main arc of the story. And the good part about it though is that the creator has realized that a lot of people love that first arc and the first story in Aincrad, and so he's going back and creating more content that he wanted to do in the first place, and he's creating movies, and he's even making like these novels for the show and the manga that'll hopefully be adapted into anime. And so it's really cool. And there is a second season as well that focuses on other games that is really interesting and worth to check out. But yeah, it's a really great show. It holds a very near, dear, special place in my heart. And I have thankfully been able to meet Bryce Papenbrook, who is the voice of Kirito in the English dub, and the super super nice guy, really friendly, talking with everybody. He's a great person. If you ever get the chance and lucky enough to meet him, I definitely want to meet him again. And any chance I get, he's a really dope person and a great voice for Kirito and all the other main characters that he voices. Yeah, and just collecting those cards for SAO has been a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to getting some SPs of Kirito and collecting some of my other favorite characters. Even some great Asuna cards. Like I said, the show is it's really cool. It's a pretty easy watch, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody and everybody that enjoys anime and just like quick and easy plots in general for animated shows.
Yeah, like even if you're just like looking to get into anime, it's like in my opinion, one of the better like starter animes to get into. Just because of the fact that it's a very simple story to get on board with. And, like the story ramps up like super quick, like right out the gate. So it definitely like really draws you in. Um, and yeah, like I said, like what Jordan referenced, like the first season is amazing. Usually pretty much everyone's favorite. Not everyone really enjoyed the second season, but for me, I can definitely say that um, I've always enjoyed the show. I enjoy both seasons of the show because me and Jordan are currently actually watching the second season right now, even though I've already watched it like times. But this is actually Jordan's first time getting through season two because he just never got around to watching the second season. Because I think when we first watched the show, like only the first season was out at the time, and they were still coming out with like season two, and we just kind of just like ventured off and started doing other things, and we didn't really watch it for a while. Then we started kind of getting back into college. So now we're just kind of getting back around to watching some stuff together. And so he told me about how he's watching season 2, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I'll be down to watch it with you." Because obviously, I never mind rewatching the show because it's a show that I could easily like watch like over and over and over. If anyone was ever interested, like I wouldn't mind watching it like any time because it's always fun just to kind of like go back and rewatch and relive those moments and like how I felt in those moments. Kind of like do a lot of reflection. Kind of like give my take on like certain things that maybe they could have done differently. But yeah, I'll definitely say that like SAO is like in my like top tier for like animes, especially because it's like such a good starter anime as well. So then like now it's like getting more into the other parts and areas of the show. Like now with like going into like the movies and stuff, it's kind of like opened my eyes to like all these other characters and like all these other plot points with Kirito and Asuna's story. And then also kind of dives back into being able to collect the cards more, knowing who all the different characters are, seeing all the different rarities, like finding out all the different companies that make cards for SAO. Because obviously they have the two main ones with like White Schwartz and Build and Divide. Both, I think, in my opinion, are very like good quality cards. The holofoils on them are very nice and appealing. You have a chance to get signature cards like that are printed on from like the Japanese voice actors and stuff that are super cool to like chase after. I've actually managed to get an SP myself as well when I first started getting into the 10th anniversary set that they released recently in the English version. I actually managed to pull an SP Asuna card from that set, which is actually the most valuable card in that whole set. Besides, like I think like they have like an SSP or something. But as far as the SPs, the SP Asuna is the most expensive, and I think like raw value it's around 700. Um, and so I was able to pull that card, and that was a really cool moment. Because the guy I buy from, actually on Whatnot, whenever he gets cases in for White Schwartz, I usually go in and like depending on what the set is for, I'll usually like buy like a box or two or so, just depending on like how much I'm into it and I want to collect the cards and stuff. And so I'm not gonna lie, I went pretty hard with this SAO 10th anniversary set. I bought like I think total like 6 boxes, and it was like not until my 6th one that I pulled the SP Asano. So it was like it kind of like made up for all the other boxes I bought. And selling that Asuna like kind of got me my money back, and I still had all the other cards too that I got from those. All the cool like SRs and triple rares and double rares and all that stuff. And then he had a light novel case of SAO that apparently they've only ever printed in Japanese, and they just recently did like another print run of them. But apparently it was very limited because the guy I buy from said that he bought like I think 5 or 6 cases of it, and then they ended up only being able to send him like one case because the printing like distributor or whoever like had to cut them back by like a lot. And so people that had only bought like maybe like a case or two probably didn't even get theirs. But because he placed an order for like 6 of them, they were still able to get him one. And so he only got one case of it, and so I ended up buying like one box just to see like what I would get. I didn't get anything crazy, but it was still kind of cool to like be able to buy this card because like the style of the artworks and stuff are totally different. They're based off of like the arts of like the light novels and everything of SAO, so that was like a really cool experience to have. Um, he had a case of the final season set for Attack on Titan, and I'd only really bought in some Attack on Titan cards before, not like a whole lot. I've like purchased like some of like the earlier little like they're like smaller like booster boxes of them, and I've like managed to pull some decent stuff. But um, he was doing like a rip to you hit deal with Whatnot, where like you would just like pay a set price, and then you would just be ripping packs from the box until like you hit like an SR or something or higher. And so someone went before me. They opened up like a few packs and they ended up getting an SR. I think Jordan, wasn't that you that did that? I think like didn't like you buy packs like right before me, or was that someone else?
Um, it was me.
So Dargus bought because we were in the same stream. So Dargus bought the rip to you hit, and then he only ended up opening like a few packs or something. Got like I think it was like an Anji or something.
Yeah.
And then so I decided to do it, and he ended up ripping like 8 to 10 packs or something. And then on the last one that he opened for me, ended up being the SP Aaron card, and that one of like raw value was going for around like 240 ish, I think, somewhere around there. So that was like my first like big like hit like card that I've ever really pulled from a box before, especially for like anime and like a show that I was really um. The Attack on Titan's another like amazing like just overall just an absolutely amazing show. It's like just been so much fun to like learn and like just like seeing all of the foreshadowing that's going on in the show and everything. It's just been absolutely amazing. Um, so being able to collect the cards and stuff, all like the characters has been really fun. Getting all my like really cool Levi cards has been awesome, and getting those graded. Um, and so I was like, I was really happy the fact that I pulled P and then it was Aaron. It was like the main character from the show. I was just really hoping it would have been Levi because so much of a cooler moment. I would have been so much more hyped than I was. Even though I was really hyped about it, but I would have been 10 times as hyped if it would have been a Levi card. And I definitely wouldn't have sold it. I would have immediately graded it, and then it would be in my PC forever. Um, but yeah, that was just a really cool. Like, there's just like there's so much fun with opening up stuff for like anime because like you're always guaranteed something, even if it's just a rare. You're at least guaranteed something. That's like one of the main things I've always liked about opening up anime stuff. Like whether you're opening up Build and Divide, White Schwartz, and then even now with like they have these new sets for Union Arena. If anyone's ever seen those, they've been starting to make cards for different animes. They already have Hunter x Hunter. They have Jujutsu Kaisen. They have now Demon Slayer. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have other animes in the works. Like they're gonna have My Hero. I'm sure they're gonna come out with like Chainsaw Man. Like they're gonna have like other like new animes and stuff that they're gonna be releasing this Union Arena stuff for. And like the cards are very nice. Like the common like rares and stuff that you get from the packs like are all like the artworks are just basically like pictures taken from the anime. But then when you get to like the SRs and like higher, those are like actual like set like artworks and stuff made for the card game. So they're actually like unique like arts that people that the company made for those cards specifically. But all the other like common the base rares, they just take pictures essentially like scenes from the show and they use that as like the artwork, which is still like cool. It's like not like I mean, it is kind of like I guess you'd assume like lazy, but I've seen like a lot of different animes, like, especially with like White Shorts. Like pretty much all the cards that you get from White Shorts, like they're all from scenes from the show. If you like go and if you like look at a card and like look at like a certain character like in that moment, some point in that show where like that character was doing that pose or they were like interacting with that character like doing whatever it is, like they're all just taken from the anime, and then just made into card form. That's like always really cool too. Like if there is like a really cool moment that you remember from the show, and then they adapt it into a card, it's just like that's just amazing. I think that's like really a unique thing that they can do to where they make like really like emotional, like impactful, memorable moments from the anime, and they adapt that into a collectible card. Because then that just like it's just like immortalizes it forever, like in this piece of cardboard. So you're able to collect it, you can grade it, you can put it in a binder, you can display it, like whatever it is you want to do. That's like one of my favorite things about collecting cards and stuff is that you're able to take those cards and like remember moments from the show and like really reflect back on like your moments of like watching the first time and just like remembering like how you felt in those moments. It's just like really special.
Yeah, and so I think nearing the end of the podcast, I guess we can do some rapid fire recommendations and shows we had previously seen. Obviously, My Hero Academia is my number one all time favorite anime. It's it's truly a really great show. Again, incredible animation, really interesting, compelling story. It gets you hooked within the first couple episodes. If you can get past Deku being a humongous crybaby, that even kind of deterred me a little bit at first. But trust me, he gets a lot better. Well, a lot better. He gets better. He's a lot better now. They have 6 seasons currently, and They're going to have, it seems like at least a couple more, and they also have a few movies out. Really great story if you like superheroes and superpowers and incorporated with anime. It's incredible. All Might is my favorite anime character of all time. He is an absolute G. The guy is awesome. His character is really cool, and learning about him was really something special throughout the whole show. And then obviously Attack on Titan, another show Ryan had introduced to me, and we watched together. And that's by far the most intricate and interesting story. We've been talking about a lot of like lackluster, not so creative stories. Attack on Titan is S tier in a class of its own. It's incredible story. Pretty cool animation. It's just unique. It's nothing uh, different, or I guess it is different, but it's not special. It's just pretty cool, and the story is amazing. Might take you a little bit to truly comprehend and even understand what's really going on. You might have to pause it and start thinking, or talking with somebody, or watch it with someone that's seen it, and that'd be a time where you can actually ask some questions and be reassured that you're not an idiot for missing some stuff. The show is really awesome. Can't recommend it enough. Best story in anime that I've seen so far. I recently had gotten into a lot of like slice of life anime, not particularly within the past few years, but like this year, I had given them a shot. Me and Ryan, I believe the first one we had ever checked out was My Dress Up Darling, and we got spoiled on any other slice of life after that. Like that animation is really good for a slice of life show, and the story's really cute, really cool, with this girl that likes to cosplay and a guy that paints faces of Hina dolls, and that's what he wants to do as his profession. And so he's already well versed in using a sewing machine and creating the little outfits for Hina dolls. And so when Kitagawa wants to start cosplaying as like her favorite characters, they end up teaming up together. And he's kind of like an outcast, not really any friends, and she's a big popular girl, and it's a little bit of a trope setup, but that's kind of what you love, what you expect in these shows that I'm starting to learn. And they have really cute banter and this relationship between each other. It's pretty heartwarming. It's a great show, and I think it's the best one I've seen so far. And it was the first one that I had checked out. But another one that stands up to that, at least in my opinion, is More Than a Married Couple, but Not Lovers. It's gonna have another season. It ended on a cliffhanger at the end of season one, but it's basically a show with students at the school, and they have like these little marriage practicals, and they learn what it's like to be married and how to be a good spouse. And they live in the same quarters with each other, and they're kind of just learning what it's like to be married and prep them for adulthood. And it's a really great. I watched it in the dub, and the dub is really funny. I won't hate on anybody on how they prefer to watch shows. I'm sure the sub. I've seen clips from the sub, and it's great. But the dub, they really have fun with the script in that one, and some of the dialogue and conversations they have are really, really funny. But I really like that show a lot as well. It has some really great personal moments in it, and it's really funny. I like it a lot. There's plenty of other ones that I've seen recently that I could easily recommend. Um, there was, trying to remember what the name of it was. Oh man, it's something is more than just a cutie. I forget the main character's name, the main female character's name. God, this is gonna kill. I'm gonna have to look it up right now, because this is going to destroy me more than just a cutie. I'm gonna tell you. Wait, no, that's Shikimori. Jesus. Shikimori is not just a cutie. That's the name of the show. I butchered that like crazy, but it's really heartfelt. The main couple is already a couple from the show, so if that's not really what you're into, if you're more into how they get together and waiting for the big first kiss thing, I totally get it. But this show is very cute, very heartwarming. They already start off as a couple, and you kind of just get to see their relationship build throughout the show. And this guy who's super unlucky, and this girl who is really cute, but she's trying to be cuter in the eyes of her boyfriend because she is always having to protect him and save him from all these random things that happen to him. And so she's kind of a badass, and but she's trying to be less so and be more like girly or whatever, even though she doesn't have to be. So that one I definitely recommend. And Ryan had introduced me to Rent a Girlfriend. That's another one I really enjoyed. The dub on that is incredible. If you like the Demon Slayer dub, Zenitsu is the main guy, and he's very likable. So that show I definitely recommend a lot. And then, oh yeah, Spy Family. Totally forgot about that one. That they're having the second season starting at the end of this year. Incredible show. I love the story with that, with a spy, and he gets put on this mission where he has to have a fake family. Ends up adopting a girl who has psychic powers, can read people's minds, and his fake wife he ends up getting, he doesn't know is actually a high class assassin. So there's so many little hoodwink things that go on throughout the whole first season. They have great banter between all the characters, and I just love that show a lot. It's really a whole bunch of fun, and both the sub and dub are good. In that I tend to watch both. I usually watch dub at first because I'm lazy, and then I love checking out how the original cast puts on the performance in Japanese, and so that's really cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to season 2 of that show. But yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you have any recommendations that I didn't throw out there, but you can go ahead and list any of them if any of those come to mind.
Yeah. So like I said, Jordan obviously listed off a lot of amazing shows. Yeah, like some of the slice of life stuff with like Dress Up Darling, Spy Family, Rent a Girlfriend. One that I really enjoyed that I got Jordan with me was Real Life. That was one
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that was one that a buddy recommended to me, and I really enjoyed that one. That one's very short. It's like literally a season and like a half. Like it has like a handful of extra episodes after the first season. That one is a very quick show. I really enjoyed the very unique story with that one. And then some of the other animes that I've seen, because I know I've seen like a handful of shows that Jordan's never seen before. So like for instance, I've seen Hunter x Hunter all the way through. That one's very solid. Kind of like it kind of depends, but like some people may think it's like it takes a while to get into, but I didn't think it was like that bad. I don't remember it really taking me that long to like really get into the story. But that one was very unique for sure, and I really enjoyed, especially toward the end of the show. Like how they wrapped up the show was like very cool. Obviously, I think they're coming out with like more manga chapters right now, and so they should be adapting like another season for the anime at some point. But the way that they wrapped it up, like how it seemed like it was going to end, would have been like a really solid ending. So I did enjoy it. Another one is Black Clover. That was one that honestly, I feel like there's so many more Black Clover fans now than there were when the show first came out. I feel like the show got so much hate in the beginning, and like now all of a sudden there's like all these like Black Clover fans that like love the show and they can't wait to watch them. Like I don't remember seeing all you guys whenever the show first came out. Like, I feel like there's so many people that are hating on it, saying it was like too similar to Naruto, even though like the premise of the show is kind of like similar with like you have a main protagonist that doesn't really have a lot of natural talent, like the prodigy kid, and they're like rivals, and they're trying to like both gain not like both, but like in Black Clover they're both trying to gain the highest title of their world and all this different stuff, and then the main protagonist gains the power of like this like demon inside of him and stuff. So it does have a similar premise. But I really enjoyed Black Clover. We were watching Mob Psycho, which is another show that our oldest brother recommended to us. I ended up just kind of watching it on my own over time, and Jordan kind of got like behind on it, so he don't think he ever got to watch it like all the way through like I did. But Mob Psycho is another show that I enjoyed. It's a very interesting art style. It's not like a typical one you would usually see, but I did enjoy the story, and I feel like it definitely wrapped up very perfectly well. There were some very odd parts in the show, but the show overall was like kind of silly and sort of out there every now and then, but it was very good, and I enjoyed it. Trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head right now that maybe I didn't mention. But yeah, obviously, you know, we've talked about Naruto, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, SAO, just like all the typical shows. I did also really enjoy Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, one of like the very OG anime. Definitely say I really enjoyed that one as well. It is like short for like what it is, but I really did enjoy that story about like, you know, the connection with the two brothers, them trying to get their bodies back and stuff, and like just learning about the whole like alchemy style and everything that they use in the show and like how all that works. And I think that like the aspect of that was really cool, and seeing how the brothers progressed in their story. So I did really enjoy that one. So that's like another really solid beginner anime to get. And then yeah, and then like just all the other slice of life shows that we mentioned. If you're like looking watch something that's a little different, like change of pace versus like all of like the, you know, crazy action scenes and all that stuff. You're just looking for a very like just simple and quaint story to get attached to, and just watch some characters get into just some, you know, daily shenanigans stuff and just have a good time. Because mostly a lot of the times for slice of life stuff, they typically lean more towards it just being like very light and funny, and just getting you attached to the characters and stuff, and like being able to relate with some of them. And so they do very well with a lot of those stories that we've seen so far in the shows that we've watched.
Yeah, because I didn't think I'd get into slice of life really, because I was just so accustomed to shonen anime and all this action and fighting and getting stronger, and you know, and sometimes you get that kind of stuff with slice of life depending on what you're watching. But yeah, overall they're very, you know, just fun, easy. It's a good break too from, you know, if you're watching this show and it's kind of depressing and it's full of action and you need something to kind of wind down a bit. You can put on a slice of life and just feel good and have like a real fun show to watch and kind of wind down and, you know, warm the heart up a little bit. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the TGA Pristine podcast. I know I had a lot of fun talking about all these anime shows that we've been watching and getting into, and I really hope that you guys check out some of our recommendations. Please let us know if you've already seen the shows, and if you haven't, definitely check them out and let us know how you feel. But as always, guys, we really appreciate each and every single one of you that tunes in to listen. And as always, if you want it pristine, you got to keep it clean. See y'all in the next episode.
Have a good one. All right, guys, this is a quick trigger here at the end of the TGA Pristine podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble on.
Hold on. Start that again. You're a robot during that.
Okay.
Alright, you can go ahead.
Welcome to the end of the Pristine podcast with your man Quick Trigger here, and we're here for the question of the day. And the question is, what anime are you currently watching? And if you are collecting the TCG for that anime, let us know what cards you have and which ones are your favorites. Because I know that I've really enjoyed collecting cards for Naruto, My Hero, Titan, even SAO, like all that good stuff. So let us know what kind of cards you're collecting for anime down below. And remember, guys, if you want it pristine, you got to keep it clean.